Hello and welcome to We Are Just Two Idiots. I'm your host, Steve Michaels. You can follow us on IG, X, and now TikTok at We Are Just Two Idiots. And as always, you can email us at wearejust2idiots@gmail.com for comments and feedback. I'm joined, of course, by my co-host, Duke Ross. Duke, man, it's been a while. Hope you're doing well. How was your 4th of July weekend? You do anything exciting up there?
Up here, yes. We actually went further up.
Oh, talk to me. What'd you do?
When you live in Chicago, sometimes you head up to Wisconsin. So we went up to Wisconsin. We were in Elkhart Lake, did some fireworks up there. Went to Sheboygan Falls, and over by Lake Michigan, they had fireworks there. It was great. Chicago had very dense fog, so unfortunately, if you lived in the Chicago city or suburbs, your fireworks were kind of ruined. So we had awesome fireworks, great. The only issue, it wound up being about 20 degrees colder along Lake Michigan. Kids fought over the blanket. They were cold, but fireworks were enjoyed by all nonetheless. How about yourself?
You know, it was kind of chill down here. Didn't do anything major. Just hung out with the family. Some dinners. Marissa went to the beach to watch the fireworks. It was cool. Yeah, I heard about up in Chicago. Let's see, but one, I saw Desi's post at Hart Park, for the carnival there. That they couldn't get the fireworks out. I saw that at Frontier Days in Arlington Heights. They had to cancel things. I tried watching that one Cubs game. It was like the Bears versus Philadelphia. It was so foggy you couldn't even see where the ball was going. Brandon was up there this past weekend visiting his old friends from high school. So,
speaking of sons, my son on the 4th of July. This is something we'll be able to remember forever, and it's touching. He's 4 years old. We discovered on the 4th of July that he loves lemon heads.
I like lemon heads. It's good.
He must have had like 20 of them, maybe 30. He couldn't stop. I didn't stop either. They're delicious. Do you have a favorite candy from your childhood?
I like
Top
candy.
5, let's go.
Twix, Kit Kat, Milky Way.
Milky Way, that's disgusting. You get a Milky Way in your Halloween bucket and it's going right in the trash.
Well, I'm allergic to nuts, so I used to get Snickers and all that shit, and I would Reese's peanut butter cups. I used to have to give that stuff away, and that's probably why my friends want to go trick-or-treating with me.
Yep, you can't. I think I had a Snickers bar sitting next to you one time, and you freaked. I was breathing on you, just from breathing on you.
Dude, nobody wants to ride in the golf cart with me because they say the Snickers is the best thing to eat. Because it gives you energy and stuff like that. So people don't want to be riding in golf carts with me because they can't eat Snickers.
I was a caddy for 7 years. I was a caddy. The caddy house, we get a hot dog and a Snicker bar. And if you're lucky, if you were good to the caddy ladies in the shack, you got a second dog. So yeah, 2 dogs and a Snickers bar in the halfway house. It was awesome.
So you went to Sheboygan back in the day.
Sheboygan Falls, yeah.
The guys we would call that Shevegas.
Because
you can't afford Vegas, you'd go to Sheboygan, i.e. Shevegas.
Yeah.
I forgot who had their bachelor party there. Maybe it was Devaney. No, it wasn't Devaney. I don't know, but you can get Captain and Diets there for $1.50. You're like, oh man, Probably. This is great. So, yeah,
we ventured in on the way out. We had to, our kids had to use the restroom, and we had no choice. So we went into this dive bar. I mean, it was either that or Nature Pee, and it wasn't going to be a Nature Pee. And holy simoly, Sheboygan Falls bar, yikes!
Dude, I love dive bars. I miss that. There's no dive bars here in Naples. All right. Okay, so if you were up in Elkhart Lake, you got my note. Maybe you're going to join us at the All Stuff the first week in August. Thinking about it?
I think you combine Mike Allstott and the Allstuff. It's the Allstuff,
not
the Allstuff.
The Allstuff. No, it's
as long as I'm not working, that's the plan, sir.
All right, you better. Okay, that was good. Good to hear some personal.
All right, that's the end of the podcast. See you later. Is that it?
Yeah, that was already 4 minutes. We're already over. Okay, here we go. Let's come out firing. It was quite an interesting week in the news. We're going to get political. We haven't done that in a while. Graham Plattner, the Democratic primary winner for the Senate seat in the state of Maine, has dropped out of the race after another sexual assault against him.
Why do you sound so happy about that?
Because he's a scum. Listen, he's a flat out scumbag. He's got a Nazi tattoo. He's married. He was on applications like Kick and all this kind of stuff, saying very sexual deviant shit to girls, teenagers. Multiple women came out and said that he was sexually aggressive with them. This last one, it was his ex-girlfriend. He came over to her house. He was hammered. He forcibly had sex with her. She begged him, like, no, 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 no. And then when she realized he was not going to say no, he was not going to take no for an answer, she begged him, please use a condom because I'm not on birth control. And he refused to. And he ejaculated inside her. And, the next day, when he passed out on top of her, the next day, she asked him, do you remember anything that happened last night? He had no idea. He couldn't recollect. So she kicked him out.
Hey, remember, these are her words, not his words, by the way.
That's true, but he did withdraw. So
we don't want to get sued right off the bat. We're such a young podcast. We don't want to get sued. It's her words, not his.
Yes, that's fine. This is not a Democrat-Republic thing. This is we don't want scumbags in office. Okay, so it's a tough one. But the Democratic Party leadership will now determine who will replace Plattner, not the citizens of Maine. So for the party
do you know what someone from Maine is called? Do you know what they call themselves? They call them Maynards.
Maynards. Okay.
We're Maynards, they say.
We're Maynards. Okay, so let me go back to that. Not the Maynards. They will not determine who will be on the ballot for the Democratic Party. So for the party that preaches fight for democracy, their hypocriticalness is back in full force, similar to what happened in the presidential election in 2024. And what do I mean by that? Well, Joe Biden withdrew from the election, and the Democratic leaders, Obama, Clinton, Pelosi, Schumer, etc., reluctantly ascended Kamala Harris to be the ticket on behalf of the Democratic Party. The American citizens never elected her to be on the ticket for the presidency. So let's stop all this bullshit that the Democratic Party is one that fights for democracy. I just think it's a blatant lie.
So all right. Listen, we're going to be talking sports plenty after this, but put it together for me. What does one have to do with the other? I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
yes.
More importantly, I don't know. Put it together, and then I'll finish up on
the
this.
key thing is the definition of democracy in the most simplest terms is governed by the people. The United States is technically not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. The democratic process of the constitutional republic is the people get to elect those individuals that represent them in the government.
So what you're saying is the Democratic Party is putting, just like they put Kamala Harris without a vote, though she has to be voted in to win the presidency, to win the Democratic ticket, she was just placed there.
She was placed there by a select few individuals, and when I'm referencing
I get it. And listen, time was of the essence. It's their own fault because they waited so long to bounce Biden. There wasn't time to have a runoff, so to speak. And in this case, they're in the same time crunch where the votes are going to be in November. They don't really have the time to put someone else, to have multiple people in there and have them vote. So, yeah, they're going to have to put someone in to do it. And, look, I understand where you're going, and you're not wrong. If there was more time, maybe they would. If you want to say it's hypocritical, we can say it's hypocritical. What I think is best is, this guy stepped down. Were they going to force him out? I don't know.
They couldn't force him out.
No,
because he already won. He did not have to drop out.
No, but he would have the main election itself against the Republican Party.
He would not. He did not have to drop out.
Correct.
But everybody.
But would they force him to? Would they put so much pressure?
That's what they did in the past 24, 48 hours.
Right, and that's more important than anything. They don't want this gentleman. And I heard the entire story on CNN. What the victim, claims happened, and I'm glad he stepped down. And listen, we can go in a lot of different directions with this, and let's just leave it at he dropped out. And I understand what you're saying. Yes, the people of America, the Democratic Party, they're not going to get to elect their nominee, just like they didn't get to elect Kamala. And it's maybe they wouldn't even have put her on, and they did the Republicans and Trump a favor by doing so. But you know what? If you really want to get, Foxy on this and CNN-y, my opinion, if I watched CNN when this was coming down, and they didn't pick a side. They just said, this guy needs to step down. This is deplorable.
Yeah, I agree.
My opinion. And unfortunately, look, CNN is opinions, but they give news too. When you watch Fox primetime, there is no news. It's all opinions. And my opinion is, on their opinion, they wouldn't have said anything about a Republican dude or woman that did this and needed to step down. They wouldn't have said anything negative about him, and that's my opinion. Maybe a woman would have had the courage to stand up if she was on, but everybody from, Central Time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, the men, they wouldn't have said a damn thing about it. That's my opinion.
I think you can have your opinion. I don't know.
And I could be wrong, but I don't think
we know it happened with
Salo.
The same thing happened with Salowell in California. He had to drop out after multiple women came out with sexual abuse things. So
Absolutely.
To your point, though, I did want to just respond to that. You said there's not enough time. I'd rather there be a rushed election so that the vote of the American people could happen as opposed to a select few individuals putting person on the ticket. I agree with you. You got November's 4 months away. It would be a very, very rushed election. At least you give the chance for the American public to nominate the person that they want in their ticket. Okay. So
listen,
it's tough because
it's a bigger topic, but it's the nauseation that I feel of watching the news and everything else. But yeah, of course, I think if everybody had their druthers, we would all want to vote for our nominees and not have a nominee forced upon us.
Yeah,
especially the Maynards, because they really care. They're the Maynards.
Okay, boy, that one took a long time. That's good. This week, the U.S. restarted direct military strikes on Iran, as our POTUS has declared the interim ceasefire arrangement is effectively over. I'm really sad by this because it just seems we can't get a peaceful agreement over the goal line, despite continuing to get positive affirmations from the current administration that everything is going great and peace is within reach. It's like the same shit just keeps happening over and over again. So definitely not the position we want to be in. Hopefully we can see light at the end of the tunnel and get this thing closed out.
From your lips, man.
Yeah. The trailer for Christopher Nolan's highly talked about adaptation of Homer's ancient Greek epic, The Odyssey, is climbing fast to 1 million dislikes on YouTube with an 8-to-1 dislike to like ratio. The movie incorporates several DEI woke components with respect to casting and plot details. It's going to be really interesting to see the public reception at the theater when it's released, next weekend on July 17th. Is it going to bomb like recent DI Shitburger, the new adaptation of Snow White? Or even like the all-time YouTube dislike leader, the 2016 female reboot of Ghostbusters? I know that's one of your favorites, Duke. But
the reboot? Absolutely. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
So, Duke, what's up? Are you going to head out to the theater and go see the new Odyssey film? I know you love books. You probably read it like 100 times, but...
I never read it. Oh. Listen, I've got bad news for you, bad news for Hollywood. I haven't been to a frickin' movie. No, that's a lie. I took my kids to see, I don't even know, a cartoon movie about 6 months ago because it was a blizzard and there was nothing to do on a Sunday. But besides that, I literally have not been to a movie theater in a solid 15 years. So The Odyssey could have 1 million loves, not dislikes, whatever the heck you said. And I still wouldn't be going to the movie theater to see The Odyssey. There's not a lot anybody can do to get me to go to a movie at this point in time. This is what's more intriguing, I think. I was incredibly confused that you can't even buy a ticket anymore and just go. You have to purchase seats, and it's very specific. And not me. How about you, bro?
I can't remember. So, did you go see it at that Libertyville movie theater right by the old restaurant? That's gone?
That got shut down about 8 years ago. It's very tragic. Still sitting there vacant. Looks terrible in our town.
One of my first dates was with Ella. We went to go see Revenge of the Sith there.
Is that right?
Yeah, that theater. I remember it well. All right. No, I haven't. I can't remember the last time I went to a movie theater.
Yeah, it's going to bomb. Listen, you can't get traction like that, negative traction, and think you're going to succeed. So it will bomb, and I don't know how much this movie costs. I know it's hundreds of millions, and it's going to flop.
Yeah. Damn it, Duke. Will you stop talking about politics? Let's get into sports.
Go.
I don't want to cry. But yesterday, we received devastating news that our franchise golden boy, Connor Bedard, underwent shoulder surgery and will be out at least 4 months. That's going to bleed well into the start of the season. Diehard Blackhawks fans are in serious mourning. I would donate my shoulder to Connor, but I just had shoulder surgery myself, so he probably wouldn't take it.
Can you say shoulder surgery one more time?
It's really hard. I've been, shoulder surgery. It's tough.
You do a Cindy Brady. You're doing shoulder surgery.
Shoulder surgery.
Shoulder
So I caught that when I first said it. Yeah.
I've heard you say it like 5 times now. It's slippery. I get it.
I'm going to get made fun of a lot for this one. So here's what I'll say. I'm critical of front offices.
How did he hurt his shoulder? How did he fall at home? Was he training? What was he doing?
So Connor trains like a madman. He trains like a madman in the off season.
I don't know a lot about hockey. I mean, admittedly, but can you ice skate in the summertime?
Well, he was training up in Canada.
It's colder up in Canada.
But obviously in the summertime they have ice rinks and stuff like that. So I'm
joking.
He hurt his other shoulder last year in the season and missed like 6 weeks. This one was much more serious. He fell on it really bad.
Didn't he? How much time did he miss last year in the season?
About 6 weeks. About 6 weeks.
Just in the beginning, he didn't get hurt. During the season?
It was during the season. It was like January. It was right around Christmas and went all the way through like the early February. It sucked.
How many is he?
Because he was killing it.
Is he going into his third year?
He's going into his third year.
Did he get hurt his first year as well?
I know he had a broken jaw from a cheap shot.
I remember that.
I'm not sure if it
not
was
his fault, but
not his fault. So like the stuff that's coming out that he's injury prone, that's bullshit. I don't think he's injury prone. Some bad luck, yeah.
He's somewhat fragile. I mean, how much does the dude weigh?
Dude, he's like 5'10", but he's built like a brick.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks skinny.
No, he's tough. He's really tough. But listen, us Blackhawks fans want to see our former coffee getting flunky turned underqualified GM get off his ass and sign.
I don't even know what you just said. That sounded like you're speaking Greek to me.
Former coffee getting flunky turned unqualified GM. So our GM of the Blackhawks is completely unqualified. He used to fetch coffee for Stan Bowman. Have no idea why he got the job. It's probably because they got him for cheap. He needs to get off his ass and sign Patrick Kane and try to trade for a top 6 forward. That would help lessen the blow of losing Connor. If he wants
Patrick Kane, the ex-Hawk?
Yeah, Detroit. He's an unrestricted free agent.
How old is he?
About 37.
Is he still good?
He had about 60, 65 points last year, I think. Yeah, he's still good.
I know Tays just retired, but
yeah, Tays had a tough year last year, but Kane still can play at a high level. Defensively, he's weak, no doubt. Just like he was with the Blackhawks. He wasn't very strong two-way player like Tays, but offensively, he's still incredibly elite. Wow.
So he got hurt. He was training.
Yeah.
And well.
Yeah, he was training up in I think Edmonton or somewhere.
How do you have fallen? What did he do to his shoulder? What is it? What's the injury? Is it separated? Is it surgery? What is it?
If it's 4 months, I'm assuming.
Or are they not?
It's a full
it's
separation.
hockey, God forbid they actually say the injury. They just say it's a upper body, and we're blessed to at least be told it's the shoulder.
In the off season, they don't do that, but during the season, they hide it. But I'm sure it was a full separation that required surgery.
I'm devastated.
Well, you should be.
Look, we have how many stars do we have in Chicago? We don't want the Stars. I kid a lot about hockey. We don't want the Stars to get hurt.
We have 3 stars. I know you're waiting for your boy Caleb Wilson to join that tier, but we have the best Major League Baseball player right now in Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yep.
The hottest. Yeah, we've definitely, and we're going to talk about Caleb shortly. I can't wait. We got probably the most exciting NFL player in Caleb Williams, and of course we got a generational hockey player in Connor Bedard. So Chicago's blessed.
From a non-hockey expert, and this is all I'll say about this, when I heard it on the radio, first thing I thought of was he's freaking fragile. Sorry.
Fuck you.
You can't have 2 shoulder surgeries, a broken jaw, and something else, and not be fragile. He's fragile.
He's not fragile. He's tough, and I'm waiting for him to prove otherwise.
He sounds very similar to Christian Pulisic. That's what he sounds like to me, fragile.
Speaking of soccer, let's get into that. This past Monday, the United States men's national team run in the FIFA Cup came to an end with a loss to Belgium. Duke, I know you and I had quite the discussion prior to the game. What were your thoughts on the game and the overall state of soccer here in the United States?
The game itself, it was brutal. You can say they weren't ready. They came out flat. Whatever. They were just completely outclassed. It was very obvious. It was embarrassing. I've never seen someone do a Charles Barkley. You know how Charles Barkley has the hitch in his swing? He fixed it, but he used to swing and he'd be like,
Oh yeah.
That's what the goalie did. He had the Charles Barkley hitch in his kick, and I don't know why he did it. It was weird. It looked strange. It looked like it was a fourth grader that was doing it. And he's an MLS goalie. He's not a world class goalie. So it was unfortunate. It was weird. It was sad. We're all going to forget about it by next week. We're going to start thinking about fantasy football, and it'll be a thing of our past. But, I think we're all excited to watch it, and you want to be entertained. I watch sports more to be entertained. I don't gamble. I don't do any of that shit. I just want to have fun. I want to be entertained, and it wasn't entertaining. You knew it after about 15, 20 minutes. This was going to be not too good. And they just looked slow. Comparatively, they were slow. And I don't even know the guy's name. The sub that came in that usually should have been a starter, he wound up getting their third goal. He looked like a man-child next to them, and I'm just thankful.
He got their fourth goal. I know what you're talking about. That dude looked like he should be fighting in the UFC. He was a monster.
Yeah, I'm very thankful that they didn't start him. And I don't even know the reason. I know they have young guys they wanted to play, but I think they thought so little of us that they're like, let's rest this guy so we can start him in the next game and not wear him out. And honestly, I think that's what they did. And they laughed at us. And you talk about the stuff, and we got heated when we were talking a couple days ago about Trump, like before the match. And we don't need to talk about it now, but it's useless. But my opinion, I think if you're going to go with they came out flat, I think this had something to do with it. As opposed to being excited about all this and let's go, it was like a psychological mind F, and it affected them. You're going to say no, and let's not even get into it. I don't want to talk about Trump. He's got bigger fish to fry. My gas prices just went up like 30 or 40 cents today, so he's got bigger fish to fry than a stupid soccer match. But they came out. If it was flat, it was because of that. If they were terrified because the stage got too big, that. And then I'll answer the last part, and then you can go. You said, what do I think of the state of soccer in America? I'll give you, this is what I think of the state of soccer in America. My son loves, beginning to love sports, right? He'll say, Dad, let's go shoot hoops. He's got a little hoop in his basket in his bedroom, or we go to the park, and he's 4 years old, he wants to shoot hoops. He said, Dad, let's go hit baseballs, and we'll hit baseballs. He's on a soccer team. The one team he's actually on so far is a soccer team. Mm-hmm. Not one time has he said, Dad, let's go kick soccer balls.
Oh, wow.
That's the state of soccer in America. Just from a young mind, basketball is more intriguing. He saw the movie GOAT. He wants to dunk. That seems like fun. He wants to hit a baseball. He wants to hit a home run, and every time he hits a ball beyond my head, he runs around the bases, he hit a homer. That's fun. For soccer, it's fun to score a goal, but those are not things he's asking for. That's the state of soccer in America, and that's the problem.
So I had this conversation with Ella, and I was like, when I was going to junior high at the beautiful Fairview South in Skokie, Illinois, we had two sports, soccer and basketball. And, everybody loved soccer because that was a sport you played in junior high, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So, then, of course, you go into high school, and it overlaps with football, but, I don't see that anymore. Is there still soccer on junior high teams in public schools?
I have no idea, but I remember we played soccer in junior high just because it was a sport and we did it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we beat Fairview South. Thank you very much.
You went to Parkview, right? Or Lincoln?
Lincoln. But
we got our ass kicked by Lincoln.
Once high school started, this is just the way it was. The best athletes played football.
Yeah. And I think that's what they're saying now. So they were saying, if we had the best athletes play soccer, then we could compete against them. And, they're like, and then I read something to play this travel soccer at this young age, it's cost $3-4 grand and stuff like that. You can't do that. I mean, people can't afford that. So.
No, it's expensive whether you're black, white, Hispanic, whatever your nationality and culture is. That's a lot of money. All sports, travel hockey is incredibly expensive. You just families can't afford it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, soccer should be the easiest thing to play with, right? You just need a ball. You don't even need a net. You just put two things down, two sticks, two rocks, and that's your goal. And kids just don't do it. I'm sure they would. They'll play. They do it. But I don't know why. Listen, I do know why. The whole world loves soccer, and I understand it. But it's freaking more fun to catch a touchdown pass. It's more fun to hit a home run over a wall. It feels really good. The only thing in soccer that feels really good is when you score a goal. It's not that fun to make a pass to somebody. And this is let's just change. Ready? I don't understand. When you play basketball, right, and you go up for a shot, you get fouled, does the 92% free throw shooter come in to shoot your free throws?
I don't get that rule either.
I know it's the way it's been, but why in soccer does one guy get, if Mbappe or whoever, Messi, whoever gets the goals, and believe it or not, Messi's not that good in the World Cup, and he's only
missed 2 penalty kicks already.
He's only at 50%. But why? I'd be irritated. It's not that they bring the best guy in, but if I did all the hard work, I went 50 yards down the field, or what do they call a soccer field? The pitch.
The pitch.
The pitch. I go 50 yards down the pitch. I fake out 3 guys, and then oh my God, he's going to have a breakaway. Foul him. They foul me, and then they let this asshole get the goal, and because of that, he gets an extra 20 goals a year, and he gets an extra 50 million euro, and I get screwed. That's bullshit.
I thought the same thing.
Who cares about the game? He's getting my goal. Fuck you.
I'm like, why is Kane taking the penalty kick against Mexico? He didn't get kicked. I'm like, what the? And then Messi, why do they get to do it? And then Mbappe and Neymar from Brazil, why? But
I get it. They're the best, but it's not fair. I don't care about the game. It's not fair to me. I got fouled. You didn't get fouled, bro. I did the hard work. And you get the glory, and you get to run around and do your freaking pose. Suck it.
Yeah,
that's the state of soccer. It's bullshit.
So exactly what you said. we laid an egg. We didn't have better players than they did. There's no other way to spin it, period. Our star player played like absolute shit. He gave the ball away 11 times before he left with an injury. It wasn't even fun to watch. It was one of the most disappointing sporting events I've ever watched. So hopefully that's, I'll still watch some of the FIFA Cup. I'm interested to see what the final 8 teams do. But yeah.
Look, I can't wait to watch it. When it's I don't care. When the best player is in their league and they're playing against lesser players, I don't know. If the best player is playing, maybe I'll watch a little bit. Unfortunately, we're 6, 7, 8 hours different. But when it's on the world stage and the best teams, the best players are going against each other, I have to watch. If England plays France and you have Kane, and then you have Mbappe, it's pretty freaking phenomenal. You have, the fans singing "Hey Jude" for Bellingham. I mean, the big stars are out there. It's awesome. Everybody wants to watch it because we want to watch stars. But when it just comes to regular soccer, and unfortunately, in America, we have one. It's always been that way. We had Beckham come here when he was older. We have Messi now. We have a star. So it's not that much fun. If people want to come just to see him, and it's the same way in the 80s and early 90s when the Bulls were playing, people would just want to see Michael Jordan play. They would want to physically see him and just be able to say 30 years later, I got to see this person. Just years before they said, hey, I got to see Babe Ruth or Mickey Mantle. And people want to see, they got to see Beckham or they saw Messi, but that only goes so far, and it's just one player. And it will never, ever, ever, ever work in America because our best players, white or black, are playing other sports.
Yeah, I'm interested to see come 2030 how they adapt or change to try to put a more competitive team on the field.
Right.
I'm really interested because I think they understand that. I know they've understood it for a while, but I don't know if you looked at the rate. Man, we're talking a lot of soccer. The FIFA World Cup was watched more than any other thing except for the Super Bowl. 42 million viewers, 30 million, from Fox, FS1, 10 million on Telemundo. So it's got the visibility, and hopefully we'll see some momentum because we don't like being bad in anything. Hopefully we can try to adjust that and be more competitive come 2030.
And here's the interesting thing. It doesn't. I'm going to retract what I said. It really doesn't take a lot. If you had the U.S. team, and I forget the 38-year-old defenseman's name, Keane, or if that's the goalie, Ream and Keane. If you take him out and put that put him in 10 years earlier when he's younger, faster. You put, Howard in, who's one of the best goalies we've ever had. Now all of a sudden the team's very different. And then it only takes one. I mean, do you really think, Norway's team is so much better at every position than everyone else that they're beating, or they have, a 6'4", 6'5" giant man-child in the middle, and he dominates. It's 0-0, and then all of a sudden, on his own, you got a great pass, you got a header, and then you had a kick in the middle on his own. That was all him. Yeah. So, it only takes 1 6'5" freak. It takes Travis Kelce saying, you know what? I don't want to play football. His dad, not even him. His dad's like, hey, I played soccer. Kid, you're going to play soccer, and we're going to get you in the academies, and we're going to do this, and whatever. We're going to move to Europe. You're going to get, you're 10 years old. We're going to get you in the academies. And then he comes back and plays in America because he was born here. And all of a sudden we have a 6'5" giant in the middle that dominates everybody else. And that's all it really takes. So, can we find one or two people? They have enough talent all the way around, and now it's being spread. We have players that, weren't really, they're, born here but never lived here, that are great players and, went through the academies in Europe. And it takes one. And maybe we'll get lucky in the next 10, 20 years, and some kid will come along that'll dominate everybody.
You got to have the star. I mean, Argentina's not where they're at without Messi. England doesn't advance without Kane. I mean, it's like, you said it right. Okay. Now our favorite sport. Duke, we're less than 3 weeks away when Bears camp will get up and running in Hallis Hall and Lake Forest. So excitement for football is building. So I want to get to the real topic of today's episode. And that is, with Caleb Williams firmly entrenched as our franchise QB of our beloved Chicago Bears, based on historical data of this millennium, how are the Bears' Super Bowl aspirations shaken up to be?
Steve, are you going to give us a bunch of data?
I sure am. Because, listen, I am an engineer, and I think the listeners now accept that. And Steve's an engineer. He loves to crunch data. I really liked researching this topic. It was a fun thing to do. Man, that sounds nerdy. I went back and researched the last 25 Super Bowl winners and their QBs to try to come up with some observations and even some theories to tie it together. And I'm proud to say I have a few, and I think this is going to wow you. Here we go. Maybe it's not going to wow you. You're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's common sense. But the data backs it up. Here we go. I think there are 3 ways to win a Super Bowl in the NFL. One is you win one with a QB on his rookie contract. If you have a competent GM, he is then able to surround that QB with the necessary supporting cast to get the job done. That QB takes up less than 5% of the team's salary cap. That's a winning formula. This has happened 6 times in the past 25 years. So that's 24% of the time a Super Bowl winner, has happened with a QB on a rookie contract. Those 6 were the GOAT, Tom Brady, future Hall of Famers, Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Flacco and Russell Wilson, and, of course, the guy that's challenging to become the GOAT, Patrick Mahomes. So 6 out of 25 years, it's happened on a rookie contract. That's a great formula to have. What's the other one? Can you win it if you have an elite defense? I mean elite. If the defense is ranked in the top 3, top 5, and you have a QB, a serviceable QB, it's proven you can win a Super Bowl. This has happened 5 times in the past 25 years. Okay? Let's start with last year. Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold was on his 4th team by the time he got to Seattle. His average annual salary was in the top 10. But I don't know if people know. Seattle had the number 1 defense, and it sure showed in the Super Bowl when they really beat the shit out of the Patriots. But that's last year. The year prior, Jalen Hurts. He's paid like an elite QB, but per Pro Football Focus, he hasn't been a top 10 QB in the past 2 years. Philadelphia had the number 1 defense in 2024. Then, of course, we had Mr. BDN, Nick Foles, in 2017. Journeyman QB, he, of course, upset Brady. Philadelphia had a top 5 defense that year. 2013, Russell Wilson. We already talked about him winning it on his rookie contract. But he also, Seattle's defense, which was known as the Legion of Boom, they had the number 1 ranked defense in 2013. And last but not least, fantasy football stud Brant Johnson. He was the guy that once threw a pass, deflected off his offensive lineman. He caught it and ran it in for a touchdown. Duke, you remember that when we were doing fantasy back then, that play?
Sure do.
I think Espo had him. Anyway, that year in 2002, Brad Johnson, the Tampa Bay defense led by Sapp, Rice, Brooks, they were the number 1 ranked defense that year, and they won that Super Bowl pretty easy. So 5 top-ranked defenses won, 2 in the last 25 years. So those are pretty cut and dry. But the last way, this is the most challenging one to have a discussion on. Can you get your franchise veteran QB to sacrifice, whether it be his AAV, the percent of the salary cap that he takes up, to enable his GM to invest in giving that QB a strong supporting cast? Well, this is where the research really came in. This was a Tom Brady trademark. Yeah, Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls. Do you know not once in those years was he a top 5 paid QB? Not once. Not once. Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger. These were veteran QBs that won Super Bowls after their rookie contracts expired. But again, none of them were in the top 5. Okay? Yeah, they were paid handsomely. Don't get me wrong. But that particular year they won the Super Bowl, they were not in the top 5. There's only been 2 exceptions. There have been 2 exceptions to this rule. Patrick Mahomes was the highest paid QB in 2022 and 2023 when Kansas City won Super Bowls. It's an incredible feat, but I just really think that speaks to how awesome Patrick Mahomes is. He makes his supporting cast, his running backs, his wide receivers, his tight ends, his offensive line, he makes them look really, really good. The other example is Matt Stafford in 2021 with the LA Rams. Matt was a top 5 QB after coming from Detroit in a trade. That Super Bowl had a lot of controversy around it. In the fourth quarter, the Rams got a lot of favorable calls. There was I believe, a holding. There was a pass interference. If that didn't happen and Cincinnati wins that, I'm sitting here talking about another rookie QB winning it on a rookie contract in Joe Burrows. But can't change data. Stafford won it. So those are the 3 ways. Those are the 3 ways that you can win a Super Bowl. Duke, did I wow you or what? I mean, what do you think of the Michaels hypothesis of how to win a Super Bowl? And we're going to direct it back to Caleb Williams and the Bears.
Well, what's your hypothesis? What's the number 1 way to win a Super Bowl?
Well, I think that the best way to win it is to have a quarterback on a rookie contract, and 2, have a competent GM. I think that's the best way to do it. It was done 6 times. The elite defense.
Well, going through all that, I think the number 1 way to win a Super Bowl is have a great defense. And when you have a great defense, a great defensive line. I looked at, whether it's Joe Flacco or Eli Manning with the Giants, they had awesome defensive line. Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. The Rams, when they won, they had Aaron Donald.
Best defensive tackle of all time.
I think what we've proven, and when Tom Brady won, he was a rookie. He certainly wasn't he was a clock manager more than anything, a game manager, his rookie year when he came in to win. That's a fact. He was, dinking and dunking down the field, and the defense was phenomenal. And obviously had Belichick, who was a defensive mastermind. So the number 1 way to win is have a great effing defense, for sure. Trent Dilfer, Joe Flacco were not great quarterbacks. They just won with phenomenal Ds, and Johnson as well with Tampa Bay.
Yep.
But
that's definitely that's the second one I talked about is elite defense.
For sure. I think that's the number 1 way. You can't do it with a terrible quarterback. You can do it with the average quarterback play. I mean, obviously Philadelphia did it with an incredibly average quarterback, and you can go through it. But if we're going to talk about quarterbacks taking pay cut, and I think like the main question we're going to get to is, will Caleb Williams take a pay cut for the betterment of the team? Will he take less for the betterment of the team? And I don't think it's fair for a quarterback. Tom Brady did it. Other quarterbacks have taken minor breaks. Mahomes has done it periodically, but Mahomes just got rewarded again with a massive payday this summer.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you're going to pay a quarterback top 5 money, the quarterback has to be, i.e. Mahomes or Stafford, a top 5 quarterback. You can't give Russell Wilson top 5 money when he's not a top 5 quarterback. That deflates your team, and it's a recipe for disaster. You gave Dak Prescott top 5 money for many years in Dallas. He was, I think, the number 1 paid quarterback. His cap hit is freaking massive, I think, this year.
And they can't field the team. They sucked last year at Dallas. They were like
They
the
have no
30th
one on
ranked team.
defense.
So that's
They have no one defense, and they couldn't. They brought in Eberflus. So apparently, they didn't have enough money for coaching, and they brought in that freaking guy. So here's my hypothesis is if you're going to pay a quarterback top 5 money, he's got to be a top 5 quarterback. So the question is, Caleb Williams is going to get top 5 money. If he continues on this path, he's going to get it, and he deserves it, and nobody should say, hey, you should take top 12 money for the betterment of the team. No fucking way, dude. I've earned this, and it's my money, and I'm going to get it, and he deserves it. Everyone deserves it. But if you're going to get it, you better play top 5. Otherwise, the team is screwed.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. So, let's now bring it back to – let's really dig in on Caleb and the Bears because Caleb is in his 3rd year. First-round QBs get their rookie QB contracts ripped up in the 4th year. Correct. And the T signs them to a new extension. So, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. I don't know if I said that right.
Herbert? Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert. Oh, it's Bobby Herbert from the New Orleans Saints, right? Was that
Bobby Aber.
Bobby Aber. Jeez, I'm on a roll today. Kyler Murray, right? Those guys got new extensions in their 4th year.
Listen, his extension's coming. If he plays well, it's coming.
This is a really important year for the Bears because you heard the Michaels hypothesis. Number 1 was, can they do it on a rookie? Can they do it with a quarterback on a rookie contract? Caleb has only taken up 3% of the Bears' salary cap. Okay.
What if you get top 5 money? Do you know what the percent of the salary cap is?
Top 5. So let me look. So just so you know, Mahomes, when he was the number 1 paid quarterback, took up between 16 and 18% of the salary cap.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah. It's huge. I know the salary cap is going to go up, but so is the salary. So,
for sure.
This year's a pivotal year for the Bears if they have Super Bowl aspirations. But my problem is this is going to be tough because, it's this year or nothing for that first hypothesis. And you heard me on episode 1. I know we disagreed a little. I don't think Poles is the most competent GM. But the Bears have a much, much tougher schedule than they did last year. I'm really looking forward this year because he's on that rookie contract, and it's really important. Elite defense. So the second hypothesis, can you win it with an elite defense? Well, if they're going to pay, they're going to pay Caleb, then they better have an elite defense, right? No, the Bears were ranked 24th last year in defense, and that was inflated by being number 1 in turnovers. So you call that football luck.
Right, but hold on, let me stop you. If you have a top 5 quarterback that plays like a top 5 quarterback,
yep,
plays like it, paid by it, like it, you don't have to have an elite defense. You can win by scoring. Like Kurt Warner did not have an elite defense. They had an elite offense, and the Rams were able to win, and they should have won another one. You don't need both. If you have both, holy shit, you're going to crush people's souls if you have an elite defense and an elite quarterback, which means you have an elite offense. So, no, you don't need an elite defense. The question is, if you have an elite defense, how trashy can your quarterback be? How low can you go? Can you have an elite defense, a top 5 defense, with only a top 20 quarterback? Is that possible?
I would say here, Flacco, Wilson, and Foles are the...
Wilson was easily a top 10 quarterback. It's not fair to say he was less than that. Back then, he was a top 10 quarterback for sure. And that's why that team should have won back-to-back Super Bowls. And it's incredibly hard to win back-to-back anything.
Yeah. My point is, the Bears' defense is not even close to elite. And the question is, did Poles do anything this year? Draft, trades, free agency. Do you think the Bears' defense will rise all the way up to being a top 5 ranked defense? And
no, the problem is,
we don't have a defensive line. Right?
We upgraded at outside linebacker. We hopefully upgraded at safety. We don't know. But did we do anything to that defensive line? What's the most important part of a defense? Probably a badass defensive line. You have great linebackers, whoop-de-doo. You got cornerbacks that can fly around. Well, guess what? If you can't rush the passer, those cornerbacks and safeties can only cover so much before someone's going to get open. So did they improve the line? No. So did they improve enough? And this is the second year with Dennis Allen, our defensive coordinator. Can they move from 23rd to 16th? And then you say, well, if Caleb plays like a top 5 quarterback, can you win with that ratio? I guess we'll find out, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. So the last hypothesis was, veteran QB to sacrifice salary to open up salary cap space. I think you already answered the question. Is Caleb that guy? Well, you
Nobody's
said,
that guy. Nobody is.
well,
Tom was very unique, very special. I think that the Patriot. Two things happened. They're all in a freaking cult. They're terrified by Belichick, and they are all in a cult, and they just kind of did what they were told. But I kid a little. Tom Brady was also married to Giselle, and listen,
he was worth millions.
oh,
Yeah,
she's
no doubt.
she's worth 500 million. Was 500. She's a billionaire now. And a weaker man would have been like, I need to get paid as much as possible because
Yep.
I can't make less than my wife. But Tom was a unique person, and he absolutely did. He took way less because he saw the bigger picture. But I think to a degree, the fear is, if I take less, are you actually going to use that money appropriately? Are you even going to really use it? And I wouldn't trust the Bears. I wouldn't trust them.
Well, that goes to the competent GM mark. I mean, so like,
And a ownership that'll spend all that extra money.
well, I think they will. I've seen the Bears commit to money, right? And I know we complain about them a lot, but they do spend money.
They do, but they don't circumvent the salary cap like other owners that have expendable money. We talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
The Bears don't have, billions in their coffers to just be like, all right, let's pay somebody $100 million up front, and let's get this deal done. They don't have that kind of money. They literally have to take out loans for these signing bonuses.
Yeah,
they don't
their values
They're
all
not
on the
worth
team.
$50 billion where they have all this. I mean, most billionaires don't have billions of dollars of cash in the bank, but they do have billions, and they have hundreds of millions in the bank, probably the Bears, and they're not going to touch that. That's their money. It's not the players' money.
So back to this hypothesis 3. So like, the data does say just the data. Brady, Manning's, Breeze, Roethlisberger, they were not top 5 paid when they won the Super Bowl. Okay, just want that to be clear based upon the data. When you got quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, so let me just take a step back on that. Aaron Rodgers won his first Super Bowl in 2010. Okay. Since that time, he's been paid as a top 3 QB year in and year out. But guess what? Aaron's never won a Super Bowl since. Okay. He's
And
always,
you can say the reason is because he was good. He won back-to-back MVPs.
Yeah.
It was because his defense wasn't good enough. And, is it because he took so much money they couldn't?
That's where I'm going. I mean, he's
I know
taken
you
up a
are. I
know. Lot
know.
of the salary. So then, Russell Wilson, he won that Super Bowl in 2013. That was his rookie contract. He should have won another one in 2014 on his last year of his rookie contract. Well, he was a second-round pick. Pete Carroll forgot to hand off the ball to Marshawn Lynch on the goal line. I think we all know the story. Wilson got his extension in 2015, and since then, he's been a top 5 paid QB year in and year out. But he never won a Super Bowl again. So the data says, if I can get the QB to not take up a lot, so much of my salary cap space, I've got a chance with a competent GM to surround me to win Super Bowls. It shows here. Like I said, the Roethlisberger won multiple ones. Peyton won 2. Eli won 2. Breeze won 1. Like, those guys were not paid top 5, even though they made a lot of money. We all know that, right? But that particular year, they were not top 5. Rodgers and Wilson were top 5 every year. Rodgers was top 3, and most of the years he was 1. They're not winning. They haven't won a Super Bowl since. So
For sure. Look, I get it. And go ahead. You can finish. But this is the biggest problem. You have a competition. Everybody's in competition with each other, and it doesn't matter the position. It could be the quarterback position. It could be the center position. It could be linebackers or safety. They all want to be paid the most, or they think they deserve to be top 5.
Yeah.
And the problem is you have, a pool of, let's just say 12 quarterbacks, maybe 11, maybe 13 or 14, that all think they should be paid top 5, and their agents go and push for it, and they all get paid top 5 money. And it's freaking crazy.
Did Dak Prescott deserve to be the number 1 paid quarterback in the NFL?
But he did, and they're all top 10 quarterbacks or top 12, but they push the envelope, so they're all getting paid this huge pool of money. When how do you slot? There's no slotting when Dak Prescott. If the team comes back and says, "Here are all the stats," you're not a top 5 quarterback. Your stats are showing you're, top 9. Well, I'm still getting paid top 3. Sorry, man, and I got paid top 1 because my agents pushed it, and it's a game of chicken. Or it's just bad management, and they overpay, and that is the problem.
Playoffs, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
For sure, everybody's getting overpaid, and that's what's crippling these teams.
All right, so I think we're in agreement that Caleb's not going to follow the Brady path, and I think he is going to be the highest paid quarterback come next year.
Wait, do you think anybody's going to follow the Brady?
Don't know. I don't know. I don't.
Because I don't want this to be and I know you're not. This shouldn't be against Caleb.
No, I love it.
You're just asking. Yeah, you're just asking.
I want the Bears to win. I haven't seen it. Like, they got the shit kicked out of them in 2005 by the Indianapolis Colts. It was one of the biggest blowouts in Super Bowl history if you look at the stats. I want to see. I mean, last year, how much excitement did we have because of that guy, Caleb, right? That pass to Cole Kmet was probably my favorite football play of all time. We fucking lost that game, though. But so it sounds like Caleb's going to follow the path of Mahomes and be that top 3 paid QB. And the good parallelisms we have with this is Mahomes had Andy Reid, who I think is probably one of the best coaches ever in the NFL. He's right up there with Belichick. He's right up there with Noel. He's right up there with Bill Walsh. I think he's one of the best ever.
He's top 5 offensive mind ever.
Yeah.
More importantly.
And Mahomes had Reid. Caleb's got fucking Ben Johnson, right? And I know Reid had a lot of say in the general management of Kansas City too, and so does Ben. So I'm hoping that we could see some similarities with what Mahomes has accomplished in Kansas City, and Caleb could be that anomaly where you are a top paid QB, top 3, top 5, and you're able to, still win a Super Bowl.
Right,
because
Steve,
the data shows that only 3 people have done it, in the past 25 years.
In all of sports, what's the most important position in all of sports? Individual position. What is it?
Well, the quarterback in NFL and the goalie in NHL.
Okay, so the quarterback is the most important position probably in all of sports, let alone in the NFL.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Why don't you ever hear why is the defensive end, why is that receiver, why is that cornerback not taking a pay cut for the team? Why did he just get top dollar? It's not.
You don't think Jalen Johnson took a pay cut to be with the Bears?
No.
Really?
He got top 5 corner money when he got paid. And
I thought he
not
could have
Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson he's not even a top 10 cornerback right now.
Based upon last year. He had a tough year last year because he was hurt.
And he was hurt the year before. Whatever. Nonetheless, he was paid top 5 money then. He might not be now because everybody keeps jumping the next person.
Yeah.
Nobody ever said, what's the defensive end in Houston? Both of them. You got Hunter and you got Anderson. Yeah. Both are getting paid top dollar. And they deserve it. They're badasses. That defense is the best defense in football. They're badasses. But nobody said, hey, I know you're a badass, but can you take $5 million less, bud, for the betterment of the team? Nobody said that. Why is it on the quarterback when the quarterback's the most important position?
Well, I think it's because the quarterback also gets all the most accolades off the field from endorsements, etc.
Okay, but that's great. So does the wide receiver. Everybody, you watch the commercials. Lots of wide receivers are doing commercials outside of Puka because there's questions about his freaking character and he's in drug rehab right now.
Yeah, he's nuts.
For sure, but will he get paid? He's going to get paid if he can come out of this clean, and the Rams don't think he is nuts. But I just think it's incredibly unfair you have the most important position, but he should take less because we saw Tom Brady do it. No, not one other position. And the most overpaid position is receiver. You have all these guys getting overpaid like nobody's business. And guess what? What happened in Minnesota to the receiver that got paid $40 million a year? Without a quarterback, he's useless.
Did you have him in fantasy football? Is that why you're pissed?
I did actually have him.
You had Justin Jefferson. I would be pissed.
I did, but I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying, this is what I love. I would love to see, and we don't know, right? You have a great quarterback and a great receiver, right? What makes obviously Randy Moss had skills that nobody else had. He ran a 4.25 40 or a 4.3 40. He was 6'4", and he could jump out of the building, right? So you just throw him jump balls. Dante Culpepper, Randall Cunningham just threw moon balls to him, and he caught him. It was great.
Yeah.
But It's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? So, can a great quarterback make average receivers great, or can great receivers make a bad quarterback great? And you know what I think? If you look at Tom Brady through the years, he had very good receivers outside of Randy Moss. And the year he had Randy Moss, they lost. They had a great team but didn't win the Super Bowl. They should have but didn't win. All the other
Giant.
years, he had munchkins as receivers, and he always had Gronk. Not always. The last half he had Gronk.
And the murderer. Yeah.
But a great quarterback, which is what Tom Brady was, made these players better. I
Okay, so
don't think
you're giving me
great
hope. You
receivers.
think Caleb is going to follow the path of Mahomes and Brady, and he's going to elevate the surrounding cast that Ryan Poles has put together to win a Super Bowl.
I don't think he has to elevate. He has. Listen, Loveland is a great tight end.
He's done it for 1 year. I agree with you.
If he stays on this track,
Yeah.
the receivers, can he make the receivers better? But these receivers were first-round picks. Tom Brady never played with a first-round receiver. He was drafting first-round goofballs in New England. They didn't know what. Once Belichick was the GM there, he was terrible. He was drafting terrible.
He
was
really bad. Really bad drafting at times.
He was drafting with his dog during COVID. He had his dog on his lap during COVID, asking who should he take in the second round. That was insane. Tom Brady made those receivers great. I think Mahomes makes receivers better. That's why after they won the first Super Bowl, they said to Tyrone Hill, kick rocks, bud. We're going to get 2 first-round picks for you. We don't need you. And guess what? They didn't. They had Kelsey.
They won again. Yeah, they won again.
Yeah, with average receivers. Good offensive line.
Look great. He makes them look
100%. So, what came first, the chicken or the egg? The quarterback comes first. It makes everybody else better. And if you have great receivers, if you have a terrible quarterback, you are dead.
All right, you heard it here, guys. Duke is saying Caleb is going to be in that same legendary status as the great Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
Listen, I want him to be. I don't know 100%.
We need it so bad.
I want him to be. And if he is really good but not great, he's going to get money like Love got in Green Bay. He's going to get top 10 really, really extraordinary money, but not top 5 money. If he is freaking great, and if he does what we all hope he's going to do, he's going to get not top 5 money, he's going to get top 3 money. And if he takes him to the championship game and his stats are crazy, he's going to break the bank and he's going to set the all-time record for quarterbacks.
I think he'll be the highest paid player in the NFL come next year.
You heard it here first. If he's very, very good next year and it's, he does what we all hope he does, he will set the record for signing bonus, for average salary, for everything.
Yep.
And then the questions will come. Can the Bears win paying a quarterback this much money? And then we'll find out.
Yeah.
But their defense has to improve. They have to get a defensive lineman worth anything. And my nephew sent me a text this morning. The Bears are about to sign Bosa, the older Bosa. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's not going to get the job done.
The guy gets hurt like 75% of the season.
Yeah,
we need Austin Booker to turn into a defensive end at 10 to 15 sacks a year. I mean, that's all right. Good discussion, man. Now I'm really excited for football. Year 3 of Caleb. Rookie contract, 3% of the salary cap. Ryan Poles is going to make some moves. He's got to get a defensive tackle. Our 2 defensive tackles sucked last year. I don't know. If Bosa's the answer, I sure hope not, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, Daddy Diary. Daddy Diary. Dude, you got anything on your Daddy Diary? I got one if you don't.
Go ahead. I always got freaking daddy stuff.
All right, so, my Marissa, she drove on the highway today. So
How old is she?
She's 15. So she just took her third private driving lesson because, Ella won't drive with her. She freaks out. And Marissa gets too nervous in front of me, so we got her private driving lessons. And she went on the highway. And I'm like, dude, this is my little Marissa. I remember teaching her how to ride a bike like it's yesterday. I can remember the day and remember holding the seat and pushing it. And now she's driving on the highway. And it's like, dude, time just flies by. So kind of sad that she's grown up so fast, but man, driving on the highway, still can't believe it. Duke, you're not at that. Yeah, you still got to go through the bike riding and all that crap.
Oh no, Emerson drives. She's got, we actually last year, she has the Jeep, and we changed it from 2.5 miles an hour to I think 4 or 5. So that thing is flying.
That thing's cruising.
Flying.
Nice. I love it.
All right, my daddy diary. Listen, I have 2 kids, but we also have a dog. And I don't full time live with my dog anymore, which is sad. But I have her this week, and you talk about sad. She's 13, so I don't know what that is. What does that equate to? 90-something years in human life.
Sounds pretty old for a dog. I don't know much about.
She's
dogs.
old. She's listening, so I don't want her to freak out about this. But
the dog's listening.
Pippa, yeah, she's listening right now. Of course, she's over there. She's watching the soccer match. It's just began. Got France going, but she's 13, and she helped raise our kids. She's a pit bull. She looked after the kids. Never ever, she would tiptoe around them. Never stepped on them. She was their mom. There's no question about it. And you want to talk about sad? She's on like antipsychotic medicine now. As dogs get older, they can have like issues at night, and she'll wander around the house. She's confused, doesn't know where she's at.
Man.
She's freaking out, and we give her medicine, so she takes these pills. We hide it in some peanut butter bread, and she eats it, and then she's on this medicine that keeps her. But she was this morning, like 3 a.m, she was wandering around my house, and we've got wooden floors, and her nails are scaring the shit out of her, and she's like walking on the floor, and she's like, "What's that noise?" And she's looking around, and every time she takes a step, she's freaking out because she doesn't know where that pitter patter's coming from, and it's loud. And I'm not gonna lie, I think I slept like 2 hours last night because she was freaking on this antipsychotic stuff that's going on in her mind. And listen, we love her to death, but it's sad to see. Listen, we're all gonna age. Listen, we're aging, Steve, and I'm gonna need medicine soon for more than just that.
I'm taking so much medicine now; it's crazy.
We all have dogs. We love our dogs and our pets, and we see them get older, and we just want her to be happy. And it's I think we all can kind of relate. If you've had a dog for a long time, it's you see them get older. They grow up with your kids, and you don't want to see this happening where she can't sleep through the night and she's spooking herself because she's walking and thinks it's a ghost or something. So. That wasn't actually the same as your daughter learning to drive, but
no.
We all have pets. I know we can all relate in one way or another.
Well, I hope everything goes okay.
Yeah, she's good. She's happy.
All right, man.
She's hallucinating. It's all right.
Duke, what's that? Is that microphone on the side there of yours, or am I seeing that? Do you see that in yours?
Yeah, it's always my mic. You have it in the front. I have it on the side.
Okay, all right. Duke, we said we were going to make it a quick episode, and it went over an hour.
It's okay.
It's all good.
I was entertained.
I was very entertained. Yeah.
What did we decide? Caleb, it doesn't matter how much Caleb makes as long as he's good, then it's a win.
I think we're saying that Caleb is going to be in the same people are going to be talking about Caleb the same way they talk about Brady and Mahomes, and he's that good, and he's going to elevate his supporting cast to achieve Super Bowl victories.
I think the most important, if you can have a great quarterback, a great defense, you're going to win no matter what. Otherwise, you have to have a stud quarterback or you have to have a stud defense.
Like an all-time stud quarterback.
So it's funny. If you're not a great GM, you better be so bad that you get the number 1 pick and luck into a once every generation quarterback. We did. Otherwise, if you're a great GM like in Baltimore, you can win with average quarterbacks, or Seattle.
Duke, do you know? I know you know this answer. Who the person is responsible for getting Caleb Williams?
Lovie Smith, baby.
Yes, sir. Former Bears coach, former Illini football coach. I mean, Lovie will never, ever have to buy a drink in Chicago again.
Yep.
I mean, like, if it's not for him, who knows where we are?
It's the best GM we've ever had.
No doubt. All right, we're going to sign off here.
And our best coach, besides Mike Ditka. He was our best coach.
You tell me you didn't like the Spock dude, the guy from Canada? What was his name again? Really sucked.
Troublehorn?
Start with a T. What was it? Trustman.
Troublehorn.
Yeah.
I was joking.
I don't know.
Trustman, he was an offensive guru.
Oh, my God. We had Eberflus, Nagy, Fox, Trustman. What the hell were we thinking? thank
Bad
God we have Ben
GMs.
Johnson. Ben Johnson is the savior to Chicago.
Ben, we trust.
Ben, we trust. All right. Thank you, everyone. We're going to be signing off. See you next time.